As the party stepped from the ruins of Mad Dallow's reign, the streets of Mancing were thick with gathering townsfolk. The echoes of battle had summoned them, murmurs of uncertainty rippling through the crowd. Their leader was dead, their future uncertain. When pressed for answers, Foxeye, ever the deceiver, spun a tale with casual ease. "We found Mad Dallow dead. We do not know what happened." The words were obviously false, yet the people, perhaps eager for a story that demanded no further action, chose to believe. A hushed silence fell, broken only by the voice of a lone wanderer. Vedhiz, a traveller of the land, stepped forward with a knowing gaze and ushered the adventurers back inside the tavern. Once the doors were shut, he made his case. The town was without a leader and in desperate need of guidance. Who better than the five who had slain a tyrant? Vedhiz urged them to lay claim to the tavern and the town itself. He spoke of Mad Dallow's hoarded riches, the starving people, and the potential for something better. Mancing is not lost, not yet, but it needs hands strong enough to shape its future. And I suspect you five know what to do. The adventurers wasted no time exploring their new domain. Hidden behind a false panel, they uncovered Mad Dallow's secret cache, gold, provisions, and supplies hoarded away while the people suffered. A debate arose. What was to be done with that lunatic's riches? In the end, they struck a balance. 10,000 gold was divided amongst themselves, hard-earned spoils of war. 5,000 gold was distributed among the 200 townsfolk, a gift of goodwill and recompense. And 10,000 gold was placed in a town fund, a reserve for Mancing's future. Recognizing the need for a stable hand, the adventurers proposed a public election. The people chose Bertram Bridger, a decent man, to steward the town's resources and ensure its prosperity. With Mancing's future secured, the party set their sights on Temexi, capital of the region, to legitimize their claim. In Temexi, they sought Sinanta, Jarl of Luke, to formalize their newfound rule. Sinanta, once a renowned diplomat, now carried an air of suspicion. Her once clear eyes darted about, her fingers twitched, her words laced with paranoia. "There is a spy among my court," she confided. "Someone means to steal the Scepter of Unity. I need you to find them." But the scholars tasked with unraveling the Scepter's mysteries dismissed them outright. They ignored inquiries, offering no answers, only cold indifference, all except one. A young scholar, Callista, whispered a single directive: "If you seek answers, go to Meselik." With no clearer path forward, the adventurers turned their course toward Borderville, the next step in their journey. As night fell upon Borderville, they found a town once known for its bountiful harvests, now choked by the unyielding cold. No warm hearths, no willing hosts. Only Unam Perroquet, a kind woman who offered them shelter in her stables, the only space she could spare. It was better than the cold, yet sleep did little to wash away the exhaustion of a hard-won victory and an uncertain future. At Haitnik, they met Jarl Semis Baxtil, a leader who welcomed them with gracious hospitality. Like every other town, Haitnik struggled against the eternal winter, but Semis listened intently as they spoke of Mancing's rise. Mad Dallow was dead. A new age had begun. To aid in their journey, Semis Baxtil provided a map of Jordanarik. But as they debated their next move, a decision divided them. Should they continue on to Enspith to pursue their lead? Or should they head to the larger city of Dynasta to fortify their supplies? Wutong argued for Dynasta, but the others could not be swayed, pressing forward to Enspith. As they traveled through the frozen forests, strange sounds echoed in the mist. A presence loomed to the north, unseen yet felt, but they pressed on. In Enspith, Melioth Seashiver, the tavern keeper, welcomed them. Scar, in a characteristic display of generosity, gifted him a fine great axe, a rare kindness in these bitter times. Melioth was overwhelmed with gratitude and offered them a place to stay at a discount. Yet Enspith, too, was suffering. His ale supplies were running dangerously low, threatening the morale of the weary log workers. He asked the adventurers to seek aid from Jarl Semis Baxtil in Haitnik. Perhaps he could spare something to keep the village's spirits from collapsing entirely. Faced with a town without shops or means to resupply, the party came to a sobering realization. They were not prepared for Meselik's dangers. They needed better provisions. Thus, they backtracked to Mancing, their new home, before continuing to Dynasta. On their journey home, they faced two massive winter wolves, fierce, intelligent, and utterly ruthless. The battle was vicious, their foes relentless. Yet the adventurers stood firm. Blade met fang, spell met frost, and in the end, the wolves lay slain. Resting in Mancing for a night, they checked in with Bertram Bridger, who assured them the town was thriving. Rejuvenated, they took the off-road path to Dinasda, arriving without further incident. Dinasda's marketplace bustled, but one sight stood apart: a ruined tavern, its skeleton rising anew under the careful oversight of Janar, a grocer turned builder. She explained the tavern's tragic past. Another band of adventurers had destroyed it months ago, seemingly by accident. She now rebuilt it in honor of her fallen friend. But something was wrong. A supply cart carrying lumber from Enspith was days overdue. 4 men had gone to retrieve it and never returned. Janar asked the party to look into its disappearance. The adventurers agreed, but turned first to the marketplace. There they stumbled upon an all-too-familiar sight: a man in desperation, pleading with the guard. Erementari, the blacksmith, was in distress. His daughter had vanished into the woods, taken by wolves at the town's edge. With no guards to spare, he begged the adventurers for aid. They agreed, but still needed provisions for the cold nights, which they were able to obtain from Ondasun Orokorak in the general store. While the party gathered provisions, Wu Tong, ever eager to find a loyal companion of his own, sought out anyone in town who might deal in animals. His enthusiasm was met with little interest, until finally a weary hand pointed him toward a girl named Isa Kiak, a known rescuer of lost and wayward creatures. Without hesitation, Wu Tong dragged the rest of the party through the streets, his excitement unwavering. But when they arrived at Isa Kiak's shop, the air felt quiet. She sat hunched over, stitching leather with slow, tired hands. Her face was drawn, her hair unkempt, and though her hands worked, her eyes stared somewhere distant. "Are you selling any pets?" Wu Tong asked, eager. The question shattered whatever fragile composure she held. Isa Kiak broke down in tears, and then the party saw it. The stillness of the shop, the once lively cages now empty, rusted, forgotten. No barking, no mewing, no chirps from the rafters. The answer did not need to be spoken. Food was scarce, people needed to survive. The party stood in silent understanding, and Thrain, ever the voice of quiet wisdom, gently ushered them out. "Thank you for your time, Isa," he said softly. But she could not meet their eyes. They left the shop, stepping back into the frozen streets of Dinasda, heavier than before. Following the wolf tracks, they plunged into the twisting tunnels of the wolves' den. Claws and teeth met steel and sorcery, yet they carved their way through, dispatching the feral hunters with ease until they reached the den's heart. There they found a small girl, sobbing, alone in the dark. She was returned safely to her father, who wept with gratitude. And then, as if nothing had happened, the girl turned to her father. "Can I go play by the trees again?" And to the party's utter disbelief, Erementari nodded. "Of course, dear." The cycle, it seemed, would never be broken.